Alright gang, here's a fun one for you in TinkerCAD. Let's make a cool skull keychain. You can see it on your screen here. Kind of simple, kind of fun, a little artistic, which can be challenging to some folks. One of the cool things about this is notice we're playing around with the z-axis a little bit. The height of these objects is a little bit different as you go around it. So let's get to work. I'm going to take our finished copy here and just going to drag it off to the side for a second. And I'm going to bring in a fresh piece. I'm going to start with the cylinder. And bring in that cylinder. Something I forgot to do on this finished example is if you notice around the edge there's a bunch of little lines on there. I want that to be a little bit smoother shape, so I'm going to increase the sides of this cylinder by sliding this slider from 20, bring it all the way over to 64. Make it a little smoother. All right, hey, one thing that's going to be important for us is the Z height on all of these objects, so let's pay attention to that one. I'm going to start by clicking on the Z height, the little gray handlebar there for this cylinder, and let's go for 5. That's going to be kind of my base. It's going to be a 5 millimeter high object, and then I'll grab the gray handlebar there, pull this thing out. I'm going to make it a 40 millimeter cylinder. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key. So when I pull it, the X and the Y stay locked the same. I'm going to pull it out to 40. Alright, there's the start of my cool little skull keychain here. Now this is where the artistic part comes in. Let's do these eyeballs. And you notice they're kind of an irregular, weird shape. You can do whatever shape you want. But I had fun playing with 2 different cylinders. So I'm going to drag a cylinder in. And instead of keeping it this round shape when you're looking at it from the top, I'm going to grab this handlebar here, and I'm not even going to pay attention to the numbers. I'm just going to play with it a little bit until I get it, a size that I kind of like. Going for a little bit more of an oval shape like that. All right, now I want to get a second one on there, so I'll click it. I'll do Control D for duplicate. And remember, if you don't want to do the Control D, you can always come up here and push the buttons. But I like doing the Control D, and it gives me 2. Just so I can tell the difference between the 2 shapes, I'm going to change the color of one. So I'll change this one just to like a red. And now I'm just going to play with it. I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to rotate it around. I'm going to try to get it into a an eyeball looking shape. Similar to what I have up here. But you can play around and make it whatever kind of eyeball shape you want. So this is where it can be a little challenging. You could even bring a third shape in if you want. I think if I just rotate maybe this first one, my orange one, just a couple degrees there, it might, I'll go for like a 10-degree rotation. I guess it would be -10 if I wanted to go counterclockwise. And actually, I think that's looking pretty good. Again, you can, play with multiple shapes as much as you want. But I think that's going to be okay. All right, I'm going to group these guys together now. So I'll select both of those shapes. I'm going to group them. So now it's one kind of weird eyeball looking shape, but I'm going to change that into a hole. And when I orbit around using my right click button, you notice that it's a lot taller than my other shape. What happened there? That seems a little bit thicker. Let me click on my cylinder again. Somehow that turned into something a little taller. I want that to be 5. There it is. That looks better. But it's okay that this eyeball-shaped hole is super tall, because remember, it's going to go away when we combine them together. All right, I really like to do this from the top view, so I'm going to click on the top button. That guarantees I'm looking at it straight from the top. I'm going to select my shape, and I'm going to drag it up until it's in eyeball-type position. Looks good to me. Now I'm going to take that one. I need 2 eyeballs, so I will duplicate it. I'll do Control D, and that duplicates it. So now I have 2 of those shapes, and then I'm going to mirror it. I want to just flip it over sideways. So I'll come up here to the mirror command, and I'm going to mirror it on this axis. Different axis you could mirror it on. I'm going to mirror it on the X, and then I'm going to drag it straight over. And if I want it to be straight up and down so my eyes aren't kind of crooked like that, you just hold that Shift key, and that Shift key is going to make sure that it's dragging straight out like that. Okay, I think I need to space this one just a little bit more. I'll hold down the Shift key. Oops, clicked on the wrong one. Keep clicking on the, let me orbit a little bit. I keep clicking on the the main piece there. I just want that eyeball. And I'll even just use the arrow keys, kind of space them out until they look about right. All right, looks cool to me. Looks like some good eyeballs. I will select everything. The big orange cylinder, the 2 holes that are the eyeballs, and I will group them. And that's going to cut me 2 little holes. All right. Hope you're having fun so far. Kind of cool looking, right? Hey, let's put some teeth type objects in there. That's pretty simple. We're just going to grab a cylinder and drag it in. Again, I'm working from the top view. I think it's a lot easier to do that. And then I'm just going to grab this gray handlebar, and I'm not going to worry too much about the numbers. I'm just going to get them to be kind of toothish looking things. Looks like 16 by 5 is good numbers for me. And just so I can tell the difference between things, I'm going to change the color here. Change it to red or something like that. All right. I'm going to select both my tooth and my main face there. I'm holding down the shift key, so I click on both of them. They're both selected, and then I'm going to align them so I can get them right in the middle. This is going to be like my middle tooth there. And then I'm going to click on my tooth and drag it straight up. Yeah, until it looks about right. Like a big tongue or something coming out right now. I think I like it like that. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate this, so I get 3 of them, just like our finished product here on the left. So I'll click on my big red tooth, do Control D, and then I'll pull one straight to the side. And if you hold down that shift key, remember, it'll only allow you to move on one axis, keeping them from getting all crooked. I'm going to click in that center one again, do Control D, so that duplicates. Hold down the shift key, and drag it straight over again. Alright, looking cool. Let me orbit around a little bit, and we'll see that my heights are a little messed up. Or it's a little tall on those red teeth. One of the cool things about this project, though, is staggering your Z height. So you notice here in the finished copy, the teeth are actually a little bit taller than the skull itself. I'm going to keep doing that by punching in a little bit taller number. The height on my skull was 5 millimeters. So if I click on one of these red guys, hold down Shift, click on the second one and the third one, so I have them all selected. If I click on that gray handlebar for the height, instead of doing 5, let me make it just a little bit bigger. I'll do a 5.5 and hit enter. So that just a little bit of difference, that 0.5 millimeter difference, will really make it stand out when we 3D print this one. All right, let's add some crossbones there, and we'll call her done. All right, start with the crossbones. I'm just going to take a little box and bring in a box. Right? So I have a little box. I'm going to work from the top again, so I'll click on the top button. And I'm going to grab that handlebar and I'm going to drag it out again, not really worrying too much about the numbers, just trying to make it look kind of cool. All right, looking good so far. Notice that it's super duper tall. Let's bring this one down. Let's actually bring this one down to, if it was 5, it'd be right at the same height as the skull. 5.5 is a little bit bigger for the teeth. Yeah, I'm going to do 5.5. Click on the little height slider and do 5.5. So now it's the same height as the teeth, but I think I'm going to make those teeth a little taller. So I'm going to click on one tooth, hold down Shift, click on the second one and a third one, and actually make that a 6. There it is. So I'm staggering these heights. The main skull will be 5. The little crossbones part's going to be 5.5. Teeth are going to be 6. And then these little bone ends here will stagger those heights too. So, all right, it's looking good so far. Let me bring in a cylinder. And I'll hold down Shift and shrink this one up. Again, it's kind of an artistic one, so I'm not worrying too much about the numbers. I think bringing it down to maybe 5 or so looks good there. Or maybe 4, maybe a little smaller. Yeah, let's go for 4. And so I got a 4 millimeter diameter. If I rotate here a little bit, looks like that one is already set to 4 for the height. What did I say? I wanted those to be. Let's start off at 6. So it's a little taller than my crossbone, the straight part of my crossbone. I'm going to put that into position, just kind of eyeballing it so that it looks good. Tough part here, I'm having a hard time grabbing just the orange part and not the handle. So I'm going to kind of grab it like that. There we go. That's looking pretty good. All right, let me duplicate that. So I'll select it, do Control D for duplicate. And I'll just hit the arrow buttons here and bring it down a bit. All right, looks pretty cool. It would look so much cooler though if those were staggered. The main bar here, the red part is 5 millimeters high. I'm sorry, 5.5 millimeters high. Both of my cylinders right now are 6 millimeters high. I think I'll just take one and I'll make it the same height as the main bone there. So I'll do a 5.5. So now they're kind of staggered. All right, look cool. Now I need to duplicate those two cylinders and bring them over to the other side. So I'll select one, hold down the Shift key, select two. So I have them both selected. I'll do Control D for duplicate. And then I will just click and pull over. Oops. I'm going to need to zoom in a little bit here. These things are getting a little small, hard to work with. There we go. And I'll pull it straight over. Hold down the Shift key there, make sure that they stay all lined up. And then I'll just bump them in right there. Okay. Hey, one thing that'll just add a little bit of coolness to it, instead of having these things staggered and having the tall ones on both the top sides there, like right there and right there. Let me just flip two of these things 180 degrees and it'll stagger the ones that are raised up. So I'll click on one, hold down Shift, click on two, and then I can rotate both those objects by clicking on the little curvy arrow 180 degrees. All right, coming together, man. Starting to look cool. A little bit of arranging and one more duplication, and I will have a cool skull keychain. Hey, I do want to play with the colors a little bit here. So before I start grouping everything together, let me get them to be cool colors. I'm going to select my bone down here, and I will change them all to black. Pick whatever colors you want. I'm going to group them now. All right. It's another black crossbone there. I'm going to take these teeth. I'm going to click on one, hold down Shift, click on the second one, and the third one. Change it to whatever color I want. I think I'll go for a maybe a light gray. And then I'm going to take my main body here, click on that, go up to the color selector, and I think I'll go for a little bit darker gray, so the colors are different. All right. Now, let's get those crossbones in place and drill a little hole in his forehead, and then we're good to go. All right, so I'm going to bring this up. Bring the crossbones up until they're, pretty much centered there. And in fact, this would be a time where I could align it with the main face. So how about I do that? I'll click on my crossbone, hold down Shift, click on the main face, hit the Align key, and align them. It looks like it was already aligned in the center. That was already kind of grayed out. So that's looking good. All right. Now how about I rotate it a little bit. So instead of going straight across, it's got a little bit of an angle. So I'm going to grab the little curvy arrow and rotate it. Now it's kind of locking into these standard angles, 22.5, 45, 90 degrees. And then none of those look quite right to me. So this is definitely one where I think we're going to type one in. Let's go for like a 10-degree angle. All right, I like that one. Yeah, a little bit less of an angle than on our finished copy here, but I think I actually like that better. Okay, let me select that crossbone, and I'm just going to duplicate it and mirror it over, flip it over. So I'll do Command D, that duplicates it. So now I have two bones sitting there, and then the mirror command right up here. When I click that, it asks me what axis do I want to mirror it on. I mirror it on that one right there. Oh, that is looking pretty cool. I like it, man. That's going to be a sweet skull and crossbones 3D print job. Hey, just for fun here, though, let's put a hole in its head so we can actually put it on our keychain. I'm working from the top view. I'll grab a cylinder. I'll grab the cylinder hole, actually, and bring that one up. make it small enough so I can just put a little keychain through it. So I'll click on the gray handlebar there and bring it down to maybe about a 3 millimeter by 3 millimeter cylinder. And then I can drag it over there. I could also align it by holding down the shift key and clicking on the skull. Did I get both of them? Oh, hold on one second here. Let me hit Control Z to undo. That one did not come in tall enough. Let me make it a little bit bigger. I'll make it like 20 millimeters high, so it's super duper tall. I'll bring that over. Then I can actually just use the align key to get it right where I want it. So I'll hold down shift and select the head. Now I have both my hole and my head selected. Hit the align key. I'm going to align them on that axis and then just drag it straight down. I'll hit the top key here so I can look at it straight from the top. That looks good. Maybe come down a little bit further just so it's nice and strong up there when we 3D print it. I don't have too thin of a wall. All right, quick little grouping and we're done. Select my hole, hold down shift, select my main skull, group them together. And there we go. Hope you had fun with that one.